Welcome to Kitchen Basics 101, where we do bare bones basics as if you've never cooked a day in your life from the perspective of a mom. I'm sure it's going to be very controversial, but I'm going to make one of the stuffing slash dressings that we make for Thanksgiving. Some people say it's stuffing if you stuff it in the bird. We are not going to stuff it in the bird. This is a completely turkey-free version. So I imagine you could make this vegetarian if you switched out the stovetop stuffing that I'm going to add to it. This is just for the breadcrumb and seasoning. There's apparently directions on here. I've never made it this way. I guess you just like boil it in a pot. I don't know. I've never used it in that way. I'm going to show you how I guess dress this up. Okay, I start with equal parts celery, onion, and Granny Smith. Kind of need that tart apple, and then I'm also going to put cranberries in it. Start by chopping up the celery. I obviously already cleaned it. I usually just take the little bit of the white ends off. I always have some type of garbage bowl or garbage bag here. I take these tops off, although I'm sure they're perfectly edible. It's just that the celery gets dry. I try to make the pieces uniform. So I'm going to slice the celery down lengthwise, just to make it a little bit narrower before I chop it up. I want it to be like, you know, small pieces, equal pieces to the size of your breadcrumb. So the stovetop breadcrumb is pretty small, so I'm going to make the pieces equally small. Bunch it up together and chop it up into little bits. If you want bigger chunks, do bigger chunks. This is definitely not a science. This is just a totally personal preference. So we've got celery in there, and now we're going to put an onion in there. And now I'm going to add the Granny Smith apple and hope that I have enough apple, because it looks like when I'm looking in this with the onions that sometimes when you're cooking you have to adjust. I cut open this apple and it has like weird spots in it. So I'm going to switch out the other apple that I have. It's not as tart, but I'm sure it'll be delicious. This apple smells about 1,000,000 times better than the other apple. So that tells me I'm on the right track for sure. Just going to quarter them up and then trim out these centerpiece with the seeds. Okay. And then I'm going to dice it up. Okay, my trick for trying to get about equal parts is I make piles of the ingredients near each other so I can see like, well, that's about equal parts. Okay, where we left off, I was sweating the onions and the celery together in a couple tablespoons of butter. So you don't want to like brown them. We're just going to sweat them down on medium heat for a couple of minutes. I'll show you where we want to end up. Okay, the veg is getting soft. The onions are getting translucent. This has probably been, I don't know, 5-7 minutes on the heat. It will vary depending on how hot you're cooking it and how big your pieces were. But you basically just want it to cook to a soft before you add the apples and the cranberries. So up to this point, we're pretty much from scratch. But now we're going to add the stovetop. And you can see it's basically just breadcrumbs and seasoning, okay? But it's delicious this way. So that's how we do it. So we're just going to stir this together. The breadcrumbs, all of those veggies and fruits, and that butter we're going to combine. Okay, this would be incredibly dry if you didn't do this step. So we're going to add a little bit of turkey stock or chicken stock, whatever you have, into this. I'm using this Trader Joe's turkey stock. And we're just going to combine everything together. I wish you could smell this. I mean, it smells absolutely divine. Transfer it to a baking dish. Okay, now if you would like this more bready, add more bread. Chunk up some day-old bread and mix it in here. No problem, right? This is the way that they like it, really veggie and fruit heavy. And I'm just going to top it. You don't want to overmix it and make it too mushy. So I just top it when it's already in the pan with a little bit of turkey stock, because when it bakes in the oven, it will dry out. So now you're going to throw this in the oven, whatever, 350, whatever your oven's at, after you pull your turkey out maybe. And you're just going to bake it until the top becomes brown and crispy and it gets warmed through. This is basically cooked, so I would say 30 minutes, but I'll let you know when I finish. Okay, I'm going to pop her in the oven now that the turkey's out. About 350 for probably like 20-30 minutes. Okay, this is the finished product, all toasty and delicious.